Welcome. Welcome to Pembroke in Depth. Today we're going to do a special show with Stephan Roundtree, who is the chairman of the Pembroke Master Plan Collaboration Committee.
Correct.
Welcome, Stephan. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, every town needs a master plan.
Yes.
Okay, Pembroke hadn't updated a master plan for a number of years.
Yes.
So what was the impetus to get this thing going again?
I think the town, we had a new town manager, and the new town manager was really kind of proactive in getting some stuff done. I actually got on the planning board with the intent of working on the master plan.
Yeah.
I did a master plan for the town of Dunstable, Massachusetts, many years ago. I really enjoyed the process of creating a document that allowed people to be involved in the management of the town.
Yeah, which is like a company, really.
Yes.
I mean, towns are like corporations
Yes,
at
they
this
are.
point. Yeah.
And you know, and people were disconnected from the town government, and the master plan became a mechanism for people to be very well connected.
Very
so
good.
that they could look at all the issues that were going to involve the town and understand what the town direction was.
Right. Now, some people think that the town direction is strictly based on who have you for a town manager, who you have for a select board, who you have on boards and committees, but that's not it at all.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
explain
correct.
explain why that is not true.
Well, because you know, so basically, the way a town gets handles things is by reaction.
Right.
You know, builders come to the planning board and propose ideas of things that they would like to do.
Yep.
And we put together a bunch of regulations to try to control what they do
Right.
and limit what they do in certain areas, as well as homeowners and what they do on their property and how they do things on their property.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of rules that kind of control that. But I feel like it's more important that people understand why those rules are
Right,
there,
right.
more than the rules themselves. For example, conservation commission is in charge of protecting our water supply.
Right.
And people don't understand that, like, when a conservation commissioner is reviewing what's happening on a property, it's because they want to be able to protect the water
Right.
from anything that might happen on that site.
Exactly.
Oftentimes, I would explain to people that your well is in the middle of your backyard. So if you're fertilizing it with this and this and this, you'll be drinking that in 5 years.
Okay, I hear you. So, how did this master plan for this time around, how did the committee get formed, and what timetable did you give yourself to get this done?
The committee got formed through the planning board.
Okay.
The planning board actually sat down and discussed at one of our meetings how we would structure it, and we thought that it was best if we had representation from every board in town,
Yep.
As well as some citizens
Yep.
in the community. And we went through the process of interviewing and just sussing out who was a good candidate from the community.
Yep.
And it's important that representation comes from all parts of our community.
And you did. I mean, you have a great cross sectional of people and skills and ages here, which is terrific. So you then hired a firm that was going to help you with this. So talk about that whole process.
Yeah, so VHB is the company that we hired to do this process. Now, VHB is a consulting group that does master plans with other communities.
Okay.
So they are good at organizing, getting the questions,
Yep.
and sort of structuring the document. And to be honest with you, I wrote the first master plan document with a couple of members in my community without this type of service.
Yep.
So it was different in that the committee gelled differently.
Okay.
We're gelling around feeding information into a consulting group.
Right.
So it's a little different in
doing it
how
yourself.
things,
Yeah.
in doing it yourself. So my challenge has been to find out what was required to get people motivated and engaged.
Yeah.
Even though we had a consulting group, how do you get people engaged from an outside perspective to
Right.
get this document done?
Right.
So it's taken a little while for the committee to start to gel.
Yeah. But isn't using an outside consulting firm actually good because they've seen a lot of things before? and they won't let you make mistakes, or they can maybe suggest things to you that you might not have thought of had you done this on your own.
Oh, absolutely. There's a benefit to
Yeah.
having someone who's done it many times
Sure.
with many towns.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
In fact, they've come up with a few pointers on how to manage constantly updating the plan.
Right, which is going to be hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really forming a master planning committee.
Right.
It's going to be an ongoing committee in Pembroke is one of the things that we're pushing for.
You mean forever and ever?
Forever and ever,
Yeah.
because
it's a living document, right?
Yeah, it's a living document, but it's also it's also a structure that's sort of missing from our town government. The town of Pembroke has multiple boards,
Yep.
but we don't communicate well together. The minutes aren't shared. Information isn't treated as a project that all of the boards should be aware of.
Sure.
And so, things happen and you find out about it in a meeting and you go, wow, I didn't realize that, or the Zoning Board of Appeals approves something that the Planning Board didn't want to see approved.
Right.
Type of thing.
Yep.
As an example.
And it's no one's fault. It's just there hasn't been that mechanism there that connects it all.
Right.
And this is the mechanism that
Yes.
literally would
I'm
collect
hoping
it all.
that this is going to be the mechanism that
would
brings
collect it.
everybody
Yep. Together.
Brings everyone together and gives everyone an understanding of where we want to go.
Exactly. So to that point, you
Yes.
clearly have to ask the residents who live here.
Yes.
And the businesses, I assume.
Correct.
Yep. So you have a survey, which is I took it. It took, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to take, but it was interesting because it made me think. Like, wow, that was a weird question, or I never thought of that. So you've gotten over almost 400 back?
Yeah, just about 383 as of today.
Great. What are people saying to you on this survey?
People are talking about things they like, things they don't like. They wish they knew more about the, community center approval. They wish they knew more about the police department, updates that we've gotten passed. And
The new public safety building.
The new public
Yep.
safety building.
Yep.
I was also on the public safety committee for that project. And it's sort of disheartening because people are complaining because they're finding out about things that they didn't know about. And on the other side of the spectrum, I'm trying to get people involved.
Right.
So that they know about these things.
And information is there.
Yes.
And I mean, I think the Town of Pembroke's website is very good in keeping people up to, especially that front page. Anything that's going on is
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we
you
try
can
hard.
find
but-
information if you want to. So
Yes.
and that's every town is finding. Every town that we represent has the same problem. People are whatever they're interested in, or what's their passion, or if they have kids and it's just schools really that they're interested,
Right.
or if they're seniors, they're really not interested in the school stuff. They're interested in other things. You're trying to get people to look at the town holistically.
Exactly.
This is the town that everybody lives in. Our
Exactly.
property values, the whole bit.
Right.
So that's why it's so important that everybody participates in this survey.
Yes, I think that what's really missing is people don't see this stuff as fun.
Well, it's work.
Well, it is work, but it's also, I'm a mechanical engineer. I do product development, and one of the greatest things about my job is that I start with a white sheet of paper, and then I have a product when I'm done that people get to interact with and get feedback and are excited about.
Yeah.
And I think town government sort of needs to be the same thing. We need to do things that brings the community together to celebrate the fact that this is our town.
Right.
And for them to get to understand what's going on in the town. So, those things take money, of course, to run that type of event. But we should be planning ways to make that possible.
Right, and make it interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it interesting.
Sometimes it's
get
hard.
children involved.
Yep.
The great success that we had in the town of Dunstable was because we got all the sports teams involved.
Yeah.
And all the sports leagues involved, and the kids were talking about it.
Yeah.
Talking about the fact that we provided a swimming hole for kids to go swimming. We provided great, locations to go fishing.
Right.
And canoeing.
Yep.
And, sponsored that stuff and, had events where we brought canoes down to the river and took people out canoeing that had never gone before, type of thing.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of wonderful opportunities to do that in Pembroke.
Right. Why aren't we?
these are things that are coming.
Right, right.
You know, I'm just going to say these are things that are coming.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to organize these things, you know, personally.
Good for you. So let's talk about the process of the master plan actually happening. Once you get all the surveys in, and how long will you keep that survey window open?
Survey window, the survey closes the end of this week.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So people need to do
Yes,
this.
so people
Take
need-
10 minutes, go on the
Yes,
website.
people need to do it. People
Yeah.
need to engage. We want input. We want people to know what's going on.
Right.
And, you know, the more the merrier.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so the survey ends,
Survey
and you get
ends,
all your results.
And we get all of our results.
Next step.
Next step is the committee really needs to start setting some goals and setting some vision as to how we're going to deal with all of the things we need to deal with.
That's brought up in the survey.
Yeah, that's brought up in the survey, but also underlying things that the community needs to do better.
Okay.
Even just allocation of funds or execution of projects. We just did a repaving of the town center recently, all granite curbing. So the granite curbing was probably, I don't know, maybe $60,000, $70,000 worth of material. And is that, you know, if we were to decide, do we keep that old world granite curbing, or do we do something different?
So those decisions all are obviously decisions for the future because that's already been made.
Yes.
But would that be part of the master plan?
Yes.
Okay. So in what aspect of the master plan would construction materials for roads be located, for example?
Well, that would be under sustainability and environment
Okay.
issues.
So
know,
it's literally, it comes into almost columns or categories.
Yes.
Okay. And what are those columns and categories?
so there's 7 different categories in
Yep.
the master plan.
Yep.
There's housing. There's land use.
Yep.
Yeah, you can just
Yeah.
walk right through.
There's housing, land use. Housing is huge. We'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute.
economic development.
Yep. There's historic and cultural resources. There's open space and recreation,
That's
which
correct.
is important in every town, and public facilities and services.
Yes.
Okay. So these are the different columns that we
Yeah,
will.
those are the different columns that we're going to be interacting with. And, you know, and I think, you know, from the perspective of the master plan, my intent is to get people to think differently.
And do you think they'll think differently if they feel they're really, really part of what the outcome's going to be?
Yeah.
Because that generally is what I found when I talk to people is they don't think their vote matters or they don't think their opinion matters.
Right.
It's when you see that what you've done matters and that you can make a change and you can be part of a process.
Right.
It's very empowering to people.
Exactly, exactly. And I think the real beauty is when you see people enjoying the community more.
Right. And working together
and working
to do
together
that.
to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
You know, I haven't done many site visits. I'm on the planning board. We don't do many site visits.
Yeah.
When I was on the Conservation Commission in Dunstable, we did site visits. I met people everywhere
Yeah.
in doing that. But I also got to understand, people's misconceptions.
Yes.
And it was an ability to communicate with people
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
So I'm actually hoping in the future to start doing more planning board site visits as well.
Yep.
Rather than looking at blueprints and looking at a project,
Right.
actually going to a site
Yeah.
and seeing how it's going to impact everything around it.
So let me go back to the survey is done. You have the results at the end of the week. What does the consultant company do to help you with sorting through those results?
So they're going to go through and they're going to look at what things what things resonate along throughout that survey, and what people consider to be high items to deal with.
Right.
Needs, wants,
Yep.
likes to have,
Right.
types of things, but then also just getting an understanding of what people think about the community.
And for people that haven't taken the survey yet, it's really easy to ask questions like, what do you think makes Pembroke a great place to live? And then you get to check all these different boxes that apply. What are the biggest challenges to improving the quality of life in Pembroke? So you get to talk about that. What are common land use issues or concerns? It's not complicated housing. There's a big section on what would you want housing to look like, which is really, really interesting. What type of future economic development do you need in Pembroke that you think will be most valuable? All these types of questions are things, to your point, that after something is voted on at town meeting and becomes what we're going to do, people that didn't participate in that say, well, I didn't know anything about that, or I didn't know we were going to do that, or that's why my taxes are going up. This literally gives people a chance to really weigh in on what happens from here forward.
Right.
And it's silly not to, for 10 minutes.
Right. And I think that also, as we begin to take action on things in the community, that people need to understand that it's an opportunity for them to get a first-hand look at what's coming.
Right.
One of the things, that I've looked at in the town is, the number of historical buildings we have that are being poorly maintained and not used, not utilized. And how do we alter that? How do we change that?
Right.
And that's a vision statement. That's an imagination. That's a creative thing, right? The town center, we need to decide how we're going to develop that. Now, traditionally, what happens in a town is they go, "Oh, we don't want to use that building anymore. We're going to sell it." And off it goes, and then it turns out to be something that a developer wants to do.
Sure.
I would rather that the town develops it ourselves, that we actually take a look at what we would like to have in the center of town and make it happen.
Sure.
And part of that's community involvement.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what people would like in the center of our town.
Right. And to that point too, about getting people involved in the decision making, or at least being able to weigh in on their thoughts and feelings about things. Sometimes people are so overwhelmed by the way government works that they just kind of don't want to get involved. But with something like the master plan, where you see all these different components that go into it, there might be something that really interests you.
Exactly.
That you could say, oh, now that part, you don't have to do the whole thing.
Right.
You can maybe get involved with one or two parts of this that really feed you and interest you, and in the end, it helps everybody because you're getting more people being involved.
Involvement is critical. I mean, we're in a democracy. It's we the people.
Right.
And to be honest with you, we have a lot of power to make things happen.
Or not happen.
Or not happen. Yeah, or not happen has been one of the sad, dominating things in Pembroke, unfortunately. The master plan had a new police station and fire station mapped out in 2004 as something we needed to do.
I remember that.
So not doing anything on that for 20 years has cost us probably $20 million.
If
$20
not
to
more.
$30 million. Yeah.
Right.
Because we didn't get it done earlier.
Right. And having a document like this, when this is done, is more of a blueprint that ties all the boards and committees together, ties the whole town together to say, this is our vision, this is where we want to go, and this is how we're going to do it.
Right. And I'm trying to get the board to understand that problems are opportunities.
Absolutely.
When you talk about a problem that the town is having, that's an opportunity to do something.
Yeah.
Do something not just to solve that problem, but to facilitate making something better.
Right.
A couple of examples. We have a VOTEC school issue right now.
Yep.
Because we don't have access to the Silver Lakes VOTEC anymore. And there are opportunities for us to do it ourselves in our own town. We could do this in the town center.
VOTEC?
If we so decided. Yeah, we could open up a cooking culinary school in the middle of downtown Pembroke.
Yep.
And offer up, training to kids to learn how to cook.
Right.
And bring in a top-notch restaurant and help them facilitate, having the kids presenting menus and doing different things. Opportunity.
Right.
Problem, opportunity.
Right. Are the schools very much part of this, or are they
The
kind
school
of,
is, this, we have a representative from the school involved in this. I honestly feel like when it comes to the school system, we need to have a group of people working from the master planning group with the school directly.
Yeah. Because they have to follow a bunch of state guidelines and
Yeah,
all kinds of things that
Exactly.
maybe the rest of the departments don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. But there's
Exactly.
still, it's such an important part of the town, the school,
Right.
the school system.
Right.
Okay, so bottom line here, all this information and this PowerPoint presentation that your consultants put together is really great. It's all on the town website. You can go to it and you can get it. We'll put all the information on the screen. People need to just flip through it.
Yes, please.
It takes 5
go
minutes to
look at
flip through the
master plan.
PowerPoint and then take the survey. You can click on it. There's QR codes. You can just do it from your phone. Do it and find out how you can get involved in your town.
Right.
Correct?
Engage your neighbors.
Yeah.
Engage your friends.
Right.
You know, those in sporting events, by all means, bring it up. Discuss it at a sporting event.
Sure.
Get the kids involved. I mean, you know, taking part in what happens where you live makes where you live a more intimate experience.
Sure. And Pembroke's a cool town.
Yeah.
Really is.
I go out of my way to get to know my neighbors.
Yeah.
I walk, you know, I see them move in, I bring them a bottle of wine, you know, a bottle of honey from my honey harvest, and I welcome them to the neighborhood.
Right.
And, you know, and I want to know what's going on with people around me.
Yeah. And people are losing that face-to-face.
Yeah.
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 There's a lot of people that don't even know what their neighbors look like.
Right, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
So, bottom line is, let's get involved, right? We want everybody to get involved in the master plan in Pembroke.
By all means.
What are your last closing words?
Closing words. You know, we have to understand that our climate is changing,
Yep.
and that we can make positive changes to make it better. I mean, one of the things, I'm American Indian, and from the Wampanoag tribe here in New England, and one of the things that I remember growing up was the fact that, you know, the Wampanoags always felt like the Pilgrims' way of life wasn't sustainable. The reason why Indians used to live in an area and then move is because they would let that area recover.
Right.
They kept a balance with the environment. We've destroyed the balance with the environment, and we need to try to get that back.
One space at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we did have climate change come up at our master planning meeting, and one of the people was saying we should use a different word, different language, because it's political. And I was sitting there, I was in shock, because I was like, you know, climate change is a science that was discovered like 60 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reality is we live on a little ball in space with a magnet on the inside of it that creates gravity that pulls gases down towards the planet, and those gases are trapped around the planet with a magnetic field. And those things are decaying. We are destroying our atmosphere. You know,
Well, we could do a whole other
yeah,
program.
we could do a whole other program on that.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's
this-
things we can do to improve things.
Right.
You know, because we have water bodies, we need to dredge them, make them deeper so that they're colder. Wintertime, we need to, you know, do things to develop ice. You know?
Develop ice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
they're starting to do it on Lake Winnipesaukee, where they had ice outs in, you know, most winters. Now they're starting to pump water up and develop ice.
Wow. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing.
Okay.
You
I
know,
believe you.
But it drops the water temperature more in
Which
the
is what you
wintertime.
need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The water's getting too warm. Okay. Go to the website. Pembroke
Please,
Master Plan.
get
Please.
involved.
Please get involved. You have till the end of the week to take the survey. Thank you very much, Stephan Roundtree.
Thank you.
We'll have you back, and we'll find out how this is coming maybe 3, 4, or 5 months down the road.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, and you asked about the conclusion. It's about 16 months out.
Okay, 16 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep updating. Okay,
All right.
this has been Julie and Stephan in Pembroke In Depth.
All right, thank
Thanks
you.
for joining.